both, personal and professional opinions, right? So my personal opinion, it was fine, time consuming, lengthy, sure. End result, awesome. I went from personally a 30% for migraines to a 50% for migraines by taking it that way. Now, and same thing on the professional side. So for those that don't know, I have been accredited with the VA for many years. I was a VS, a veteran service officer, ran a team, doing thousands of claims a year out of our office. And so I'm very familiar with the process. And I have seen situations that I didn't think were going to make it. And I'll attribute it to substantial lay evidence that the VA tends, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, it could be geographical based on the different, VA centers and so forth. But I feel, I have nothing to prove this with, it's just my own, from my office perspective, that the VA's employees who process claim stuff don't give as much weight to lay evidence as the judges do. The judges give way more weight to lay evidence than the VA. So I think I definitely would not tell somebody not to. It's just be prepared and try to get it right the first time. That's and I think that's your point too. Our whole point of this is try to get it right the first time. Make it easy for the VA to rule in your favor, both with service connection and rating percentage. Now, if you do have to go to the BVA, which is the Board of Veterans Appeals, you do have three options, just like with your disagreement with the VA's decision. You can decide whether you want a higher level review. You can decide whether you want a supplemental claim, or you can decide if you want to take it to the board. Well, when you go to the board, now you have three more decisions to make. It's nothing but decisions and nuance. It's no wonder people are confused. So your first option is you can have them do a direct review, which is kind of like a higher level review where they just review what you submitted to the VA and you believe the VA screwed it up. But all the evidence is there to rule differently. Could be service connection, could be rating percentage. It's whatever it is. Your second option is submit new evidence, kind of like a supplemental claim. You're providing additional evidence to the board, in this case, to rule in your favor. You can also cite other decisions from the board on similar circumstances, right? So I've done that before. Find old board decisions on a similar case. Veteran has this condition, blah, blah, blah. Find 3 or 4 of those to kind of show them that other judges ruled this way for similar situations, and you probably should too. And the third option is you could request a hearing, and that hearing can be virtual. It could be at a video conference at a VA location near you, or if you want, if you're close, you could go to DC, but you got to pay for it out of your pocket. So you don't get a free vacation, unfortunately. So those are your options with the board. Like Clay said, it does take a while. But then guess what? If you disagree with their decision, now here's the deal. They will come back one of 3 things. They will either approve, deny, or remand. Remand is kicking it back to the VA to do more work. Okay, it's still a win. In my book, remand is you're still winning because you're still in the game. And the VA is getting now pressure from the board to make it happen. So I've seen many of those circumstances work out well. Now, let's say that it all boils down and you still crap out. And now, if you wanted to, you could take it to the United States courts, or the United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. So it's kind of like a lower court and higher court for veterans claims specifically. And then lastly would be the Supreme Court, right? And of course, I'm kind of with you, Clay. I might be a little bit wavering with the BVA. You might be able to deal with that yourself. But if you start going to the U.S. Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims, absolutely, I wouldn't touch that myself never. Definitely get an attorney involved personally. That would be my opinion. But BVA, I think it would just depend on the circumstances.
Yeah, and there's a time and place for the board. I don't want it to seem like I'm against the board, right? So, for instance, if you're denied right? You have the in-service events, your records contain complaints, but this condition has not been clinically diagnosed. Do
Right.
not take that to the board, right? You know what you should do? Go get clinically diagnosed, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or hey, I was clinically diagnosed. Y'all missed it. I'll do a higher level review. So
Right.
small things like 90, if I had to give a weight, like 98% of claims can be settled within HLR and the supplemental claim process. When you're
Agreed.
at the board is when the VA won't budge, right?
Right.
An increase is a great example, especially for migraines, because
Yep.
the 30 to 50 is ambiguous, like
Right.
most things at the VA. And
Right.
so sometimes it takes, daddy to say, hey, that's 50%, right?
Right.
End of
Totally.
story.
Yep.
So there's a time and place for it. It's just, make the best informed decision for you.
And the purpose of this video is to avoid having to do any of those.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole purpose of this is how to do a claim right the first time and hopefully get the decision right the first time to avoid a higher level review, to avoid the supplemental, to avoid the board completely. Because like you indicated way back at the beginning, it causes a whole other layer of stress and anxiety to go through that process, and pins and needles, and it's a lot. So try to avoid it at all costs. And but if you do have to utilize it, it's good to know that it's there. And if you hit all the timelines, you're preserving that initial intent to file date for any back pay, which is fantastic. So I think we covered a lot, Clay. There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of nuance, and quite frankly, we could have given several different completely different examples that would have made this much longer. So I think that we gave enough to get through to really paint the picture of the importance of certain things, and the different tools that are in our quiver, so to speak, when it comes to our VA disability compensation hunt. Quiver, hunt.
Yeah, no, you got it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So with that, hey, I'm good here. How you doing?
I'm good. This is great.
All right.
We did cover a lot, and it really gets back to, you said it right at first. You don't even want to get there. Spend the time and the intent to file, gather the evidence, submit a fully developed claim, or as fully developed as you can make it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Claim. Yep.
Absolutely.
That's all.
You nailed it. Jason. Thanks, Clay. Hey, we appreciate you guys so much. Please make sure you subscribe, like the video, all that good stuff. We really appreciate it. It really helps to get the information out to all of us. All together, we are the veteran sphere, and it takes us helping each other to make sure that none of us are left behind. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.